January 10th, 2024. Live streaming from a distant galaxy, this is the world's most controversial podcast, the Doomsy McDoomscroller Show, a philosophical science fiction series featuring realistic futurology and refreshingly heretical commentary on the news. And we'll just get straight into it with this headline. Found this on Yahoo News. 2023 is officially the hottest year on record as global temperatures close in on warming limit. The Copernicus report, according to that. And then, for those of you just getting the audio, the photo is, I'm assuming, is a road sign, Death Valley. It's got to be what it is. It looks like that, anyways. It says, caution, extreme heat danger. The photo, and then just arid land on the sign. 2023 is officially the hottest year on record, the headline says. And okay, so you may think, okay, Doomsy, why are you hanging around? I mean, why are you still in this universe? If you could bail. Well, first of all, my hyperspatial quantum entanglement engine isn't always up to snuff. So I can't just willy-nilly go from parallel universe to parallel universe. So I want to make, calculation. I want to make I want to have a better plan, some kind of a plan before I jump to another universe. And I haven't given up on this one yet. I just haven't bailed. Look, here's why. I found this article. I scrolled across this. This was on Yahoo News here. And look. Well, listen. You've got the podcast. Scroll down. Okay, there's, Yahoo News. Okay, picture this, You should be able to picture Yahoo News, right? At least if you're in the USA. That's one of the biggest portals. So you got the big headline picture, right? And then you got those, there's a row underneath the big lead story. There's like 4 or 5 other ones. And then there's the list of other stories. And, it says stories for you. Go down, and there it is. Business. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 4th story down there. So, and I know it's listing these things according to my tendency to click on stuff. But it's not bad. I mean, I click on entertainment and sports stuff too, so I don't know if my scrolling is all that different from others. So there's some hope, I guess. I don't know. It's probably, look, Doomsy should say this right up front in case you never heard the show. There is no such thing as prophecy. No, there's no prophecy. There's no predictions of certain outcomes. Quantum mechanics make sure of that. But there are probabilities, statistics, and probabilities. Yeah, that's a real thing. That is a real thing. And while I'm at it, talking about what does and doesn't exist, let me just say right now, race. does not exist among human beings. There's no such thing as race. Oh, also on this list, let's be sure to include that there is no such thing as a divine message. Never has been, never will be. And of course, that means, there's no such thing as a divine messenger. Never has been, never will be. So, we got that clear, right? So there's no prophecy. There are probabilities, and I don't know. One thing for sure, probability-wise, it's like probability 1, which means bet the house. It's a sure thing. Probability 1. Probability 1, civilized culture is doomed. That's what's doomed. So Doomsy always has that good news. Humanity, not necessarily doomed. No, humanity was around hundreds of thousands of years before civilized culture. There's no reason. In fact, there's overwhelming evidence to suggest that Homo sapiens could exist without civilized culture, beyond past civilized culture. So, probability 1, civilized culture definitely doomed. Now, I think the producers back on Earth, I think they're titling this live stream something like "Who Denies This?" Global warming thing. Who's denying that? And I gotta tell you that any denial of climate change is based on religion and mythology. I know some of you might, Doomsy, how can you say that, Doomsy? I'm an atheist, Doomsy. And I still say climate change is a hoax. I don't need a God or a Jesus or a prophet or. No, see, look. It's religious memes. 10,000-year-old memes that have you denying this climate change that's happening. And if I don't know what to say if you're one of those people who say, "Oh, climate change is happening, but humans aren't doing it," or "Climate change has happened before." At this rate, it's the rate at which it's happening. That's the calamity. But there's a couple key mythological parts for denying climate change. And it goes back well before Abrahamic religions. Remember, Abrahamic religions, they exist as a way to explain why civilized culture sucks so bad. But, it's mostly just layers and layers of bullshit. I say bullshit because lies mean obscuring the truth, hiding the truth, and your culture doesn't know the truth. It doesn't care for it. It's not going to teach it. Your culture is like any other culture. It just wants to propagate from generation to generation. Just wants to keep going on. And so you all equate your culture, and keep in mind, by your culture I mean all 8 billion of you, east and west, the stampede of civilization with capital C. That's what I'm talking about. The thing that got started in the Fertile Crescent way back. Actually, not that far back. Not if you're looking at human history. Anatomically modern humans been around for 300,000 years. Your culture only been around for 10,000. And it makes life suck so bad that you got to come up with all these explanations for why it sucks. And they can be bizarre. The most popular one, it's all about some dude being tortured to death as a scapegoat. A guy being tortured to death as a scapegoat for y'all. That's what it's supposed to be all about, right? That's how bad civilized culture sucks for people. That's how terrible it is. So there's a couple things, a couple elements to this denialism of climate change. One is that your culture equates itself with the species. I mean, it's just out of pure arrogance and ignorance. Take maximum arrogance, maximum ignorance, combine them both, and that's one of the major threads in the tapestry of civilized culture. If you pull on that one, the whole thing unravels. And the jig is up. And it'll be bye-bye pharaohs. Not because you're taking action to get rid of them, it's because you're just walking away. You just aren't going to build those pyramids anymore. But yeah, pull on that thread. And that's the best news there is. That humanity is not civilized culture. Humanity can continue beyond civilized culture. Oh, civilization's gonna collapse. All these movies about saving civilization. Why? Well, why are you doing that? Civilization sucks. It sucks. For penguins, for polar bears, for giraffes, for coral. And most people, by the way, for billions and billions of people, civilized culture sucks. So it's kind of good news that it's ending. It's kind of good news. But y'all don't know. I would say y'all, I mean the vast majority, like 99% of 8 billion. I know there's millions, at least a million. So I can speak in the plural, right? I can put an in on the end of that. There's millions that do know that civilized culture is not humanity. There's millions that are aware of this false equivalency that's pushed in civilized culture. It's like one of the main myths of your culture is that you holy war agriculturalists are meant to live that way, that Yet humans appeared. If they didn't just appear as farmers / holy war agriculturalists, at least that was the intended result. That's how you were supposed to end up. Right? So you can believe the Earth is several billion years old, or maybe you're like Protestant who believes it's 7,000 years old. Either way, I mean, even if you're an atheist and you go with the billion, a planet several billion years old, and a species that evolves, that has evolved, is evolving, as all other species do, you still have this religious belief. Even though you might not have this personal God that interferes in your life, you have a religious belief. If you deny climate change, it's because of this mythology. I mean, it's deep. It's woven in there deep. I mean, it's like baked solid into that cake of civilized culture. Just like Doomsy was talking about yesterday when I was saying authoritarianism. It's baked in the cake. It's just an authoritarian, quote unquote, leader. They aren't really leaders. But these authoritarians, just named for style, particular kind of pharaoh, neo-pharaoh. And you have all these neo-pharaohs. Some of them going to be authoritarians, and you like to pride yourselves. I think some of you, as in that you've gotten away from that. Doomsy, we've got democracy. So, yeah, you still got a pyramid. You still got a socioeconomic hierarchy. You still have pharaohs. You got neo-pharaohs. What, 1 million of them or so. Maybe more, maybe less. Depends on where your cutoff is. So much pyramid building has been going on for so many thousands of years that you've got that many. I mean, the pyramids are different shapes now, right? They aren't these prisms. Skyscrapers, yachts. Corporation. I mean, just you still got this socio-economic hierarchy. So, an authoritarian, you have neo-pharaohs. Well, what do you expect? What do you expect? 10, 12,000 years of pharaohs, of fostering pharaohs. You've been doing that for 10,000 years. And you think what? Just because you come up with newfangled documents, that everything's just going to go along swimmingly? We've got a constitution. No man is above the law. Okay, you can think that no man is above the law, but how many laws are enforceable by a fine? Because if you're a pharaoh, that's not really a law. It's just not. This is a fine. I mean, you just pay it whenever. Pay it with whatever, pocket change. baked into the cake. Just like authoritarianism. You know, neo-pharaohs, you just got this other name. Just like you got these little names for the detailed ways in which you elevate the a-holes of your societies to the top of your socio-economic pyramids. Every civilized society does that. That's because that's what civilized culture compels you to do. To systematically filter through a population and basically reward the most greedy, the most ruthless, the most power-hungry people among you. That's what your culture is set up to do. And those people are elevated in the hierarchy, and you have these cute little names for the detailed differences. That's all basically the same methodology. You get the same result. You're doing the same thing. You can call it communism or socialism or capitalism. That you still got the pharaohs. So authoritarianism, that's baked in. I mean, that's just neo-pharaohism, and that's what y'all do. That's baked in the cake, just like civilized culture is humanity. Like you represent, right? Like, I mean, without civilized culture, how could you be human, right? To say someone's not civilized, you might as well say they're not human, right? It's like the ultimate insult. You think this it's this hallowed word, this civilized, because of mythology, the mythology that you wrap around that word. Because if you just look at that word, if that word is just the sound, it's just a sound that represents what you people do, then to be civilized, that's horrible. That's terrible. It's one of the worst things you could do, you could be. Now you got to keep in mind this solid truth here. Culture is not what people have. Culture is what people do. So I guess we're getting into the controversial side of this podcast, right? I'm criticizing culture of 8 billion people. Yeah, Doomsy, don't sugarcoat. Your culture sucks. All right? And here's the thing. Here's another thing about the mythology of your culture. If you think that the only alternative to civilized culture is anarchy, well, your beliefs are full of shit. Full of civilized shit. That's pure, 100% pure mythology. And it exists so that your culture makes sure that it continues from one generation to the next, so you don't give it up. But I got news for you. You got to give it up. And you're giving it up. Millions of people are ready to bail. They're looking to slow down the stampede and get it to stop, because that cliff up ahead, it's not looking all that welcoming. So 2 big elements, okay, to this climate change denialism. Okay, one, you think, and they're kind of tied together, so it's not fully explained, but just one of the mythological elements. But we talked about one, and that's the myth that civilized culture is humanity. And then there's the other myth that's almost undetectable, and it's almost undetectable, and it's almost invisible because it's hiding in plain sight. It's everywhere. That's why you don't see it. Because you just think that it's just the natural. Just like, to be civilized is to be human. Of course, it's just life. Same goes for the second element of the mythological basis for the religious and mythological basis for denying climate change. It's just, you think it's just life. And that second element is that your culture believes humans. Your culture compels all of you to believe that humans are purposed to be punished planet conquerors. Now, you don't probably think of it that way, even though it's kind of described by murder victims in the most famous literature of your culture. It's described that way. Punished planet conquerors. And your planet conquering, that's happening because of a delusion of grandeur. That's putting it mildly. Let's go with a delusion of godhood. You see yourselves imaged as gods. I put it that way because that's a little more neutral rather than figuring the gods made you in their image. Y'all made the gods in your image, but you're imaged as gods. That's how you figure yourselves, and you're living, struggling as punished planet conquerors because you've been ordered to live that way. Those are the instructions. That's what you got to do just to be human. To separate yourselves from the other earthlings. Right? To be different than all the other creatures. You're like these gods, and you're there to conquer the planet, and the gods gave you the planet to conquer, and that's just how it's got to be. Now, you might not admit to that. Maybe that might not be obvious to you, but that's in your denialism. That's baked into the cake. That was around, those beliefs were around long before the original Abrahamic religion. So that means it was around long before the plagiarized Abrahamic religions, long before Christianity and Islam. Long before Judaism, there were these beliefs spoken before it was written down. And it wasn't, it's plagiarized. Yeah, I guess the original Abrahamic religion also plagiarized because it was originally, the stories were originally told by murder victims trying to explain to themselves what's up with these holy war agriculturalists. Why are these farmers killing everybody? Everywhere they go, it's genocide and slavery. What is the dealio there? They are acting like they've been given orders to conquer the planet. They're totally wrong about it. That's why they suffer while they're doing it. But this conquering still does seem to provide them with lots of weapons. And that story being told long before writing as the genocide and slavery and assimilation of those that farmers didn't have to kill. The slaves and the people they just brought into, they just convinced of their ideology, of their mythology, their culture. So it's been around. That story being told about you, about y'all, eventually you didn't know where it came from. It was a story from you about you, and that's why you use the possessive pronouns when you talk about certain elements of the universe, like our sun, our galaxy. You say our planet, our oceans. Y'all think it's yours. It's the most powerful myth in all of civilized culture. It's a religious belief that even atheists hold very strong to. And that's why climate change is a hoax to those people. Because they don't want to even begin to have any kind of doubts, any of the slightest reason to begin to question that mythology. Of course, you're there to conquer the planet. Of course you own it. Of course it's yours. You are the superior life form, right? You are like the gods themselves. Even though you don't believe in gods, you atheists who deny climate change is happening, you yourself think you're a member of like a god species. So, maximum arrogance, maximum ignorance. And it's to be expected. From civilized people. But this is evidence. So that's why Doomsy is still in this universe. I think I can make it back to the Milky Way, and from there hopefully find soul, Earth. I think I can do it. And people just being aware of what your culture is doing to the planet, that's a start. You got boomers. Boomers are the oldest generation now. I think you got a few left from the generation before that. Some. So boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and then after Z, you run out of letters in the alphabet, so you got to start over. So then you're at Gen Alpha. And after next year, that demographic is switching over to Gen Beta. So babies born either next year in 2025 or maybe the year after that, maybe 2025 is, according to demographers, that's like the last year for Gen Alpha. So Gen Beta. So let's talk about Gen Beta's kids. Gen Beta's. You can say Gen Beta's grandkids. They won't have much reason to buy into this whole punish planet conquering thing. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of stresses and reasons for them not to believe it. Why should they buy into that? What are you really offering them? More plastic than fish in the oceans? A planet with most of its forests gone? You really think you're just going to hand that baton to them? They're just going to take it and run with it? No. No. This stampede is slowing. It's just in population alone that's got to slow. When population growth stops, do you realize that that's the end of civilized culture? It's the end of civilization. Almost by definition. For about 12,000 years, you civilized people have been laboring intensively to increase the production of food surpluses, which fuels population growth. Every year, more food, more people. More food, more people. More food, more people, more food, more people. For 10,000 years. That's this defining characteristic. Deforestation, food surpluses, population growth. Those are characteristics, the defining fundamental characteristics of civilized culture. But here's the good news. You can abandon civilized culture. You don't have to wage a war versus Earth. And as soon as you stop with the planet conquering, you can stop feeling punished. Okay? Think, oh, Doomsy, what we got to give up? I don't know. Do you really got to give up anything? I'll tell you. I've been to planets. I've been to stars. I've been to planets, vast cultures. And I would not call them civilized. And the reason I wouldn't call them civilized is because their life doesn't suck for most of them. Life doesn't suck for most of them, so I can't really call it a civilization. But they got electricity. They have electronic gadgets. They even have vehicles. They don't have pharaohs. They don't have royalty. They don't have socioeconomic hierarchies. They don't have toxic lakes and rivers. They don't have pharaohs. Just like humans before civilized culture. Minus electricity, of course. But people, well, if you say people, then you can go back like millions of years, people on Earth. Anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, 300,000 years. 300,000 years of no toxic lakes or rivers. I mean, generally speaking. You can just go into any body of water. Right? Volcanoes can make stuff acidic. Oh, let me just say, 300,000 years without a need for a Clean Water Act. So, the denialism. See, if for someone in denial, they really don't want to even start to let go. I mean, because you got to at least relax the grasp a little bit on your mythology. And you got to tweak it. I think you morph it a little bit. You still stay in it. You're still planet conqueror. punish, planet conquer. But you might say, you might just use different terms. We're stewards. The steward of the planet. You take better care of the planet. An infant does not take care of its mother. You ever met an infant that says, I better take care of mom? Well, yeah, babies don't talk, but I think that's ridiculous. Steward. So to accept, like the people in denial that climate change is happening, accepting it means questioning that the prime directive of your culture, not to get Star Trek-y, in Star Trek, with the prime directive, General Order Number 1, that was kind of a non-interference thing. Your prime directive for civilized culture is kind of the opposite. It's wage war, conquer the planet. You're there as a superior species. Whether some god named Yahweh did it, some god and his cronies, or whether it's just the universe meant for your species to be superior and conquer. One or the other. Either way, for the denialist to start thinking, hey, maybe climate change is happening, maybe we're causing the climate change, that would mean that our orders are in error. The prime directive of civilized culture is messed up. Can't be right. Because how can we carry out a planet conquering, if we cause our own extinction doing it? And we're meant to planet conquer, so climate change isn't happening. And that's coupled with, that mythological belief is coupled with the belief that your culture is basically one and the same with your species. That to be human is to be a holy war agriculturalist. To be human is to be a farmer. Or get all your calories from farming. Same thing, farmer. Holy war agriculture. And so to deny that part of your culture, your cultural mythology, they can't do that, because then they're denying themselves the humanity. You see how those are kind of locked together? So the Doomsy I'll speak again as like a denialist, okay? This is if the denialist was aware or could fully articulate the reason for their beliefs in denialism. Okay, so Hey, well, we can't. Look, I'm human. We're human. That proves it. It proves climate change is a hoax. It's not happening. Or it's not happening. Of course, it always happens. There's nothing to be alarmed about. It's just what's going on. We're human. We're supposed to conquer the planet. We're supposed to see every single thing as a resource for us. It's ours. It's not for wolves or bears or trout. It's not for grasshoppers. It's not for sharks. It's not for dandelions. It's for us. Humans. It's for us to conquer, to use. As humans are meant to do that. And if climate change is real, then I can't be human. We can't be human. You're saying we're not allowed to be human. We're not fulfilling our purpose. But it's like it creates this paradox in the denialist. I'm gonna sit down on this planet before I sign off. So Doomsy still has hope that I'm in the right universe. But look, at some point I might just jump. I just might bail. If I get my hyperspatial quantum entanglement engine working, I might not stay in this universe. I'll definitely try to check out some others, depending on how much fuel I have. Maybe I could come back to this one. It's not always guaranteed I can make it back. I think I'm in the original. I'm not sure. Hottest year on record. Let's take one more look at it before we finish. Because there's something goes back to 1850. 1850. Record-breaking year. Wrapped up with another new record. December 2023 was the warmest December on record globally. So here's the part. Analysis shows that 2023 was 1.48 degrees Celsius warmer than the 1850 to 1900 pre-industrial reference level, with close to half of the days in 2023 surpassing the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming limit. Oh my. Oh my. That is not. Maybe I will leave this universe. Another Earth. But look, okay. Well, I'll point out here, because they're talking about pre-industrial reference level. You're measuring degrees above that. Okay, the Industrial Revolution is not to blame. All right, the Amish lifestyle, not the solution. It's not. Amish are still planet conquerors. The revolution that got you into this mess, not the Industrial Revolution, the Agricultural Revolution. And you should be suspicious right away about that. That should get you questioning your entire culture. Civilized culture, the culture of 8 billion of you. You should question that. This is you named the start of your culture the Agricultural Revolution, and it has nothing to do with a technological advancement. Agriculture was around before the revolution, so it didn't have The agricultural revolution had nothing to do with like technology. It had nothing to do with tools or knowledge. I mean, that, of course, those things aided in the genocide and slavery, the advancement, the progress, right? That's what you civilized people call genocide and slavery for 10,000 years. Progress. All that progress. So tools, tech, knowledge aided the progress. But why did it start? It got started because you saw yourself as planet conquerors. Thought yourselves like gods that were ordered by other gods to control the planet. It goes way back to that. Working your ass off to produce surpluses of food. Because you think you own the goddamn place. So that's the roots of denialism with respect to climate change. And to let you I was aware of it. Millions more were aware of it before I was, while I was still on Earth. But I knew while I was still on Earth, as an atheist or even as an anti-theist, I knew that I performed religious rituals every day, every single day, religious ritual. And so do you. If not every day, a couple times a week, there's major, huge religious ritual that y'all do. And that ritual is you get food out from under lock and key. That's a religious deal. Questions, comments, you can get your voice heard. Send us a voice message. Go to the website, click on the buttons, www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com.